Hi, this is Andrea from Harlow, and today I want to talk about my 4 tips if you're just getting started freelancing. So making the leap from a full-time job to freelancing can be intimidating. I've done this 4 times in my career. I know all the unwanted feelings that can pop up, am I going to be good enough? Will I be able to pay my bills? Can I find clients? All of that. Freelancing is definitely hard. It's not for everybody. But if you're passionate about getting started freelancing, I'm here to tell you it's very doable. So my first tip for you as you're just getting started is to define your offering and find your niche. So I know a lot of freelancers don't like this advice, but I will say it has served me very well in my career, and I highly recommend going through this exercise, right? Which is really thinking about the services that you offer and what makes them unique and your offering special, right? What differentiates it. Early on, you might actually want to take a bunch of different types of projects to figure out what it is that you're good at, what it is that you actually like doing. But it's really hard to be everything to everybody. So getting a little bit more specific about your offering will help you find the right projects. For example, rather than going out and saying, I'm a content writer, I'll write any type of content for you. Maybe you say, I am a content writer who specializes in long form content with a heavy research component. And that specificity there is going to actually help you find those projects that are a better fit. And as you're thinking about niching down, it doesn't necessarily have to be a functional niche either. So for example, I'm a demand gen marketer, and so I don't actually need to specify, I'm only going to focus in SEO or SEM. In fact, quite the opposite. My business partner and I, we stayed generalists. We offered a variety of demand gen services, but our niche was early stage technology companies that were just bringing on their first head of marketing, and they were looking for help for 3 to 6 months. So shorter project-based work. And that was a great niche for us. It really helped us to find that ideal client. And that brings me to my next point, which is to find your people. So I don't mean just your target audience here, but also your community, which I have found has been really, really important. Freelancing can be lonely and it can be really isolating, and it's important to have people around you that you can ask for advice and help when you need it, but also people around to help you celebrate your wins. There are really robust freelance communities on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, and I highly recommend engaging there and just starting to build that community and to talk to these people and learn from them. I will say also, freelancers are not your competition. So I highly recommend you embrace this community and really look at other freelancers as a great source of information, but also referrals. These other people, they deeply understand what it is that you do, and a lot of them are getting prospective contacts and clients reaching out to them, and they might not have capacity. And so that can be a great source of business for you, is these other freelancers. And I would say if you're ever in the position where you can't take on clients, it's always a good move to try and refer out other freelancers that maybe could use the work. So my third tip is to figure out your pricing. And this one is really hard. And obviously we don't have all the time in the world here to dive into all of the nuances about this. Your pricing is going to change over time, as it should. But if you're just getting started, I recommend to start by doing some research. So figure out kind of what is average in your industry based on your skill set and your level. And then I would sit down and do some math. So first of all, what is the target income that you need to meet in order to sustain your lifestyle? Now, realistically, how many days of the year are you going to be able to work? And don't forget holidays, don't forget vacations, don't forget sick days. Even though you're a freelancer, you're still gonna be sick, unfortunately. Your kids' spring break, things like that. So really be realistic about how many days of the year you're actually going to be able to work. And then think about how many hours of the day are actually billable. It is not possible for me personally to bill 8 hours a day. That is just way too much. And don't forget, you also have other aspects of your business that aren't billable. You know, invoicing your clients, putting together a statement of work, trying to market yourself, all of that. So be really realistic about how many hours of the day you can actually spend on client work. And then that will help you back into what an hourly rate needs to be. Now, this isn't to say that that has to be your hourly rate or that you should charge hourly, but it gives you a baseline so then you can start to package your services and make sure that you're hitting your minimum income threshold. And I will say, as you're thinking about your pricing, whether it's hourly, retainer-based, or project-based, don't forget that it should also reflect everything that you bring to the table. So it's not just the hours in the day, it's all of the years of experience that you have, your unique perspective, all of that stuff. Be sure to charge for that. And I will say, if you're still unsure of what your rate should be, there's an awesome tool out there called saymyrate.com. It's backed by actual humans. You input your information, give them a couple days, and they'll come back with what a reasonable rate actually would be. So my last tip for you is put it in writing. No matter what, make sure you have a contract in place. It can be so tempting when you land the first client, say it's your friend, or maybe it's even your old employer, to just go ahead and do the work and get the money in your bank account. Do not do that. Make sure you have a contract in place. Anyone that's been freelancing for a while will definitely tell you a story of getting burned by not having the right contract or contract terms in place. You can find contracts online. Highly recommend consulting a lawyer if that's available to you. But your contract should include the scope of work, so what the exact deliverables are to ensure that you're going to get paid for those, and then what your payment terms are. And with payment terms, that is whether you're going to be paid upfront for the work, perhaps you're going to invoice afterwards. The terms are maybe net 15, net 30. Also be sure to include any clause if there is a penalty for not paying on time. And I highly recommend including a termination clause as well, so that if needed, you can get out of this contract or your customer can get out as well. But again, just highly recommend make sure that you've got a contract in place. So those are my 4 tips for you. Define your offering, find your niche, find your people, figure out your pricing, and do not forget that contract. So we've got a ton of great resources available for you over at meetharlow.com, and feel free to check them out.